Hi, I'm Mick Sullivan, the curator of guest experience at the Frazier. And this summer at the Frazier, we are offering a variety of new tours and engagements every single day. So no matter when you visit, you'll have the opportunity to go a little deeper with our museum staff. Now, we all like a good story, and it's amazing what you can learn about a person, a place, a thing, or any event when there's a story involved. And our galleries are filled with great stories, and a surprising amount of animals. Who doesn't love animals? Come on, I'll show you. It's hard to think of Kentucky and not think of a horse. This rose garland is the very one draped around Derby winner Giacomo following his 2005 win. Fun fact, Giacomo is named after the son of musician Sting, who is a friend of the horse's owner and breeder, a man named Jerry Moss. The music connections don't end there. Back in 1958, Moss tried his hand at music promotion, and the very first song he pushed as a hit was 16 Candles. He would go on to found A&M Records with Herb Alpert of the Tijuana Brass, and actually, obviously get into horse breeding. The first place purse won by Giacomo in 2005 was the largest ever purse won in Derby history. Another name that you might think of when you talk about animals in Kentucky is John James Audubon. Audubon came to America as a young man to avoid being conscripted into Napoleon's army in France. And he spent some time living and working both in Louisville, Kentucky and Henderson, Kentucky. And it was around this time in the early 1800s that he got started on the goal that would dominate the rest of his life. He wanted to paint every species of bird in America in its actual life size. It was a remarkable, revolutionary, perhaps a little crazy undertaking. It took him away from his family for large amounts of time, and after struggling to find a publisher in America, he finally found one in England. His creation, The Birds of North America, would become one of the most important works on nature for centuries. When Lewis and Clark returned to St. Louis in 1806, many had taken them for dead. Their journey was an epically exhausting adventure filled with danger, so they were probably pretty relieved when they finished and were making their way back to Thomas Jefferson in Washington, D.C. "Not so fast," Jefferson said. "I have more work for you to do." So he sent Lewis down to the southern border of Kentucky to sort out that messy border with Tennessee. Once upon a time, it was supposed to be a straight line. If you've ever looked at it, it's most definitely not a straight line. Now, William Clark, he sent to Big Bone Lick, which is now just off of I-71 here in Kentucky. Big Bone Lick has been a gathering point for humans and animals for thousands of years. The Salt Lick brought animals seeking the mineral deposits, and these animals in turn brought people. Jefferson was curious about the ancient mastodon bones that were known to be in the area and asked Clark to oversee one of America's first archaeological digs. This mastodon tusk comes from the same place that Clark excavated and sent to Jefferson, which is Big Bone Lick Park in Kentucky, or now it's Big Bone Lick State Park. And actually, if you ever visit Monticello, there are specimens from Big Bone Lick in the foyer when you arrive. Speaking of Lewis and Clark, I have to point out that within that gallery, an old friend has finally made it back on display. If you've come in the past, you may remember Buffy. Buffy is our resident taxidermied bison, or American buffalo. He lived on a farm in Prospect, Kentucky, but passed away from an illness. And after that, he was given to the museum. He actually has roller skates in his hooves that help us move him much easier because he's a pretty heavy guy. While it's unusual to see buffalo in this part of the world these days, this was not always the case. Many, many years ago, hundreds, thousands in fact, there were once so many buffalo walking through the area that they carved out a natural road straight through Louisville. It began at Big Bone Lick and extended all the way to Vincennes, Indiana. Travelers would later use this buffalo trace, as it was called, to travel the area easily. These are just a few of the animals you might meet when you visit the Frazier, so we hope you'll join us for a tour the next time you visit. I'm Mick Sullivan, and we'll see you next time.